Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Hanging in there, Bruce. How are you doing?
I'm all right, all things considered.
Good,
Hard to
good,
get
good.
fired up for a game against Washington like against Vancouver.
Even though Washington's apparently the best team in the league, they are a good team. Like they got some big boys, eh?
They're gigantic, David. They have like 7 guys that are like 220 or more.
Who is on the line with Protas? It's Protas, Tom Wilson, and is Dubois the third guy? Who?
Oh, let me check.
Man,
No,
those guys. That is
because
one big
there's
line.
a gigantic
It's got the
line.
two guys, Protas, the Protas molecule, and which is
Protas, Dubois,
reference.
and Wilson. I mean, that's got to be like 670 pounds of meat.
Yeah. 2 tons of trouble.
Yeah. Well, they caused trouble tonight.
Yeah. I think that's what they called the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line. Half a ton of trouble. The steel curtain. Elsie Greenwood, Ernie Holmes,
Bean Joe Green,
and Dwight Mad Dog White.
Dwight White, yeah.
And I don't think I can name 5 NFL players today, Bruce.
I was a big Steelers fan. I loved the steel curtain.
Who are their linebackers?
Jack Lambert and Jack Ham behind.
And who is the third linebacker? Can we remember that?
Jack Ham, Lambert and Ham.
Jack Lambert.
They were there for years.
They were. Can't remember the third guy right now. All righty. Mel Blount was their cornerback, and Wagner. There was a guy Wagner. Was there a guy called Shell, Donnie Shell, who was a defensive back? Yeah. Anyway, here we go. Oilers lose 3-2. Oilers lose 3-2 to the Washington Capitals, the best team in the league, in a pretty kind of a humdrum, lifeless game without Connor McDavid there. Like you could just feel it, and didn't feel good. Lose 3-2. They get goalied. The grade A shots in this game were 16-8 for the Oilers, and the 5 alarm shots were 6-5 for the Oilers. So closer on the most dangerous of all grade A shots, but not close on the grade A shots, Bruce. And Stuart Skinner didn't have his best game, but we'll get to that in a bit, I guess. Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. What is your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go tonight with Ty Emberson. I've been seeing him good, and I saw him good again tonight. And, I just thought he was rock solid behind the blue line. He played, let me check now, 14 minutes he played, plus 1. With 1 shot, 4 hits, and I thought his physicality really shone through at times. He rocked Tom Wilson. I mean, that gets a +1 in my book right there.
Knocked him off his feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, when he was on the ice at 5-on-5 tonight, Edmonton had 10 shots and Washington had 1. Like they had 1 shot the entire time he was out there at 5v5. And it's possible that on the penalty kill, that was a little bit different because, of course, he's on the first penalty kill unit as well. And just let me see, no time. Where are we at? Here we down here. 1 shot for, 1 shot against. So pretty good there, too. 2 minutes on the kill. So Edmonton, had the play going the right way. And when it was in their end, it wasn't going on their net because they were, largely in command. I thought he played real well. Did take an utterly chintzy penalty that was richly undeserved in the 3rd period of a 1-goal game. when he went, he robustly took on, I can't remember who the fellow was in the corner, and he, the two of them came crashing to the ice, and as he was bracing to put a stick on the ice to get up, he brushed the back of the guy's helmet, and the helmet came off, and they gave him the old Nazem Kadri rule penalty for pulling the guy's helmet off. Like, hey, ref, don't guess. That isn't what happened. Anyway, enough of that.
I think it was a makeup call for the
maybe for the nachos incident.
Yeah, when Perry nachoed Edmonton's third goal there was someone throwing a platter of nachos on the ice, and gross. Perry, stupid and gross. Anyway, Logan Thompson was a bit irate about it, but it didn't have any impact on the play, which was a really
Perry's
nice play.
Two skates went to either side of the nachos. I was envisioning a play where he stepped on the plate of nachos and took a spill and tore his groin or something. I mean, whoever threw that on the ice is a real dummy. I'm sorry. That's just not acceptable.
I agree. And anyway, I think the penalty came right after that, and it's got makeup call.
Yeah, Oilers made it close. We better call a penalty then.
Yeah, I think that it had makeup call all over it.
And, it was 25 seconds after the goal.
Yeah.
Next shift.
Because it was not a penalty. That was a ridiculous penalty.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I take Emberson is the poor man's Adam Larson. He's not as big and heralded as Adam Larson. Not as highly touted. Not as good, probably.
Not a number 4 overall draft.
No.
Pick. Not 6'3", 215
He's
pounds.
He's a bit smaller. High. Yeah, he's like 6'2", 6'1". I think he looks about 6'1".
He's a decent size, and
he's listed as a decent size. I don't know if that's
he's pretty robust.
Accurate.
Well, he doesn't back away from anyone. And
he can really skate and really hit, eh? Mm-hmm. And he kept a clean sheet at even strength tonight, Bruce. Not one mistake on a grade A shot against the even strength. He is a good, smart. He is a good, smart defensive hockey player.
I'm seeing too a little bit more about patience, but just better timing on the breakout passes. He's just a little bit calmer as the season goes along, under pressure, and when there's a guy bearing down on him and he's kind of on or behind his own icing line, and he'll hold it just that right moment and then slip it through, and it looks like nothing, but it sure doesn't look like a turnover, which is the main thing. And I said to Anna partway through the game, I'm seeing this guy is really coming along as a player, and he's going to be a player here for a few years, I think. So, I mean, time will tell, but my current opinion is they got a live one there, and at some point they'll sign him to an extension. It'll be interesting to see what the terms might be.
He's 6'2", 193 pounds, according to Hockey DB.
He
doesn't quite look that tall to me on the ice, but he's tall enough. Like he's big enough to make the plays. Like he's not a big guy, and you notice that. Like he's not like.
Right, no, he's average.
Yeah, for an NHL defenseman, I think he's even a little below average at this point. But he is man. He can skate, and he's a smart player, and that goes a long way in the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's learning, and there's a lot very promising lines there, and he's never going to be a 50 or even 30 point scorer, I don't suppose, but I think he's got all the hallmarks of a solid D-man and a tough one.
There's been rumors for some time that the Oilers are going to sign him. They've been eligible to sign him since January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now the 21st. We'll see. If they can get him to a reasonable contract, that's great. Because he is, I think he's going to be a defenseman who will hold up in the playoffs and prove his worth.
One of the fears was that he might become a Group 6 free agent, which would either give him the opportunity to get away or at least have hold an extra negotiating tool on his behalf. But he's now up to, I think he missed 2 games early in the year, and he's now up to 45. He came into the team with 30. Got to get to 80, and if he gets to 80, which means 5 more games, which even before the break, he should be at 80. And what that means is that he's a full-fledged RFA, and the Oilers will have, solid rights on him, barring an offer sheet, which I don't think will happen in his
Hey,
case.
come on, the offer sheets never happen in the NHL.
No, they don't,
Bruce.
do
We
they?
all know that, right?
I can't remember the last one. I can remember the last two, but I can't remember the last one.
Beat me to it. All right. My good thing, Bruce, is Leon Draisaitl. He was in on both of the goals.
Mm-hmm.
The first goal was a fantastic pass from Darnell Nurse. It was a face-off play. Podkolzin got it back to Nurse. Podkolzin made a nice play there. And Nurse just spotted Draisaitl right away and snapped it in. Darnell Nurse is moving the puck as well as he's ever moved it in the NHL. He is moving it with confidence, alacrity, and intelligence, Bruce. He's really playing well. And, he got those 2 slashing penalties, both on the same play, both times guys going to the net. And just as the puck comes to them, he stick checks them. And it's a judgment call, I guess. I just thought you're allowed to stick check, but I guess if you get too close to the hands, it might be slashing. I don't know. Just twice in a row, he got called on that just because he's a strong guy. And
he didn't break their sticks or anything.
No, he didn't. Yeah, no, he knocked. I think he knocked the stick out of one of the guy's hands. Yeah. Hold the stick stronger. I don't think that's. I don't know. They seem like pretty marginal penalties to me. Anyway, he made a hell of a nice pass there to Draisaitl, who made a brilliant shot. Like Leon Draisaitl, he can pass it hard backhand. He can shoot it hard backhand. That was a hard shot right by the post, and a great goal to get the Oilers an early lead in the game. In the third period, he rushed up the ice. Oh, in the second period, he rushed in and he tipped a shot right over the crossbar, almost went in. And excuse me, in the third period, he rushes up the ice again. He's not distracted by the nachos somehow, like Logan Thompson is. He cuts across the blue line and he whips it over to Corey Perry, who slams in a goal. And I have been critical of Corey Perry this year, and especially in back-to-back games. And I've questioned why they signed him. He in the last 15 games, Bruce, I think Corey Perry's played really well, and I got to give him credit for that. He's come on as the season has progressed. And he's earning his keep, most definitely. So great shot by Corey Perry and fantastic pass by Leon Draisaitl. He was on the ice, I guess, for all 3 goals, but I don't think we had him tagged as a culprit on any of them. I thought he was solid defensively. He was part of a power play that didn't work, but his even strength play was great tonight, and no complaints from me on his play at all. In fact, I thought he was the Oilers' best player. And Connor Brown was good and Nurse was good. Those 3 guys.
Brown was real good. I pondered him as my good thing as well. Draisaitl just had the puck on a string, eh?
All year.
When he's got it, he can just stick handle and play keep away with it. And when he decides he wants to pass it, he makes the play. And it doesn't matter, there was one pass, he whizzed it right through 2 pairs of skates of Capitals to the guy at the far post who was too surprised to do anything with it. But I just thought, again, he was dangling and moving the puck pretty expertly, with the exception, as you say, well, not even him, but the power play wasn't really going.
The Corey Perry is 4th on the team in goal scoring. 8 goals, tied with Bouchard, with Draisaitl, McDavid leading. Oh, excuse me, I got that wrong. No, Hyman and Nuge are also ahead. Hyman's got 15 and Nuge 12. So he's tied for 5th.
He's first among non-first unit power play Oilers, which is the rest. Like you can, for scoring stats, you can literally split out them 5 in their own category, and then look at all the other guys as the supporting cast.
Yeah. Bruce, bad thing.
Yeah. I'm going to single out Evan Bouchard, who I thought had a pretty dismal performance in this game. His shot shares were, the puck was moving in the right direction a lot of the time, which is part of his unit. Like they always do that. But his shooting was off. He had 9 shot attempts, and only the very last one with 6 seconds left in the third period was on net. Before that, he had 6 that were blocked, 2 that were missed the net. And I mean, he hit Vasily Podkolzin more often than he hit Logan Thompson in this game, right? He drilled Podkolzin twice. So some of that's just shitty luck, and some of it's, it just wasn't. I thought his passes were off. Like he'd pass it and it'd be on the guy's backhand and not on his forehand. It'd be off by a foot, but a chance for a one-timer, gone. It was just like he wasn't like totally synced up with the game. And he was only involved in 1 grade A shot for the Oilers, 3 against. So when you think, well, he had, let's get this number again here. Sorry, Evan. Yeah, 23-11 in shot attempts, 7-5 in shots. But in terms of his involvement in danger shots, 1-4, 3 against. And he screened Skinner on the 2-1 goal.
Yeah,
so not his night, and he actually got benched off the power play.
He did
in the third period. They had one failed power play, 30 seconds of failed power play. When the third period started, Matthias Ekholm was playing the point, and Evan Bouchard was watching the bench. I didn't expect to see that anytime soon, but
he made a terrible pass that power play right to the other team, and I just thought he's too. I think they thought he's too lackadaisical. And in the third period, man, did he get walked off the rush by the protest molecule, mandatory expanse.
It's a pretty
reference.
Big molecule.
It is, but you haven't seen the expanse where they have the they have the proto molecule, which causes all kinds of trouble. Well, it was the protest molecule.
I looked this up, by the way. This is the line. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 6'4", 225. Alexei Protas, 6'6", 225. And Tom Wilson's the little guy on the line, a mere 6'4", 220. 670 pounds of beef on one line. That's not even Ovechkin's. He's 238, and he's on another line. This team is monstrous.
I think they're about 20 quarter-pounders short on the weight for each of those guys too. Like they're those are great big guys. Like they're huge.
Yeah, they're long, wide, and thick. That's what it looks like to me. And that, I mean, it really did on a critical 2-1 goal. That size, that protest screening in front. You talk about your total eclipse of the sun. My goodness.
Yes.
And it was one of those where Skinner's trying to look over him, and by the time he gets up there, the shot is already on its way low. And I thought tipped a little bit on the way in as well. Anyway, it was because those guys, their size was, a big factor in that goal.
Yeah, I thought Stu should have had that one, but it was a tough shot. It was a very tough shot, screenshot. Bruce, the goal I didn't like in my bad thing is the third goal. And this is right at the end of a power play, but the players on the ice for Washington, and it's also a 2-on-4 rush at that point for Washington. And so it's not really like an odd man situation. The Oilers should have this, but they don't. Dubois is carrying the puck, and he cuts across the blue line, and Stetcher, God bless him, he made a lot of good offensive hockey plays today, but he was just a few inches short of a poke check there. And it's going to happen sometimes. He's a smaller player, and he just couldn't make the poke check as Dubois comes across. Podkolzin also gets beat by Dubois coming across, and there's a pass through that Kulak, he bites on the puck carrier, and the guy's in behind him, Lars Eller. Lars Eller scoots in for a shot off the post, and Jack Michaels, I think, called this correctly in that he thought he read the minds correctly of the Oilers players. He thought that some of them might have thought the goal was in, and I think that's a real possibility because it hit the post and kind of came out the other side, and Stetcher was
Skinner
back there.
relaxed.
Stetcher,
Like
he
it was
did,
in.
and Stetcher was back there, and he didn't take a guy; he just skated on by.
So did Kulak.
The score, Kulak, both of them did.
Yeah.
And Dubois put it into the open net. So it was a very frustrating goal in a lot of ways, Bruce.
It was a game winner.
It was the game winner, and it was. I mean, hockey happens fast. Kulak's played the blue line. This is a very tough play. It'll happen to the best player, where they're just they just make the wrong read. Like they're thinking maybe I can get it, and boom. The second that maybe I can get it crosses his mind is the second the puck's past him and the guy's in on a break-in. And then he hits the post and then the other guy puts it in. So tough play for Kulak, but they could have made up for it, both he and Stetcher, if they just kept on it, played to the whistle, and
stopped in front of the net.
Stopped at the front of the net. Some fundamental play there went wrong, Bruce, I'm going to suggest.
Yeah, well, that whole problem, you could, or I at least will, argue that it dates all the way back to 2 minutes and 4 seconds before when Nurse got that cheap penalty. The key factor being it was Nurse that was in the box. So the second PK unit, instead of being Kulak and Nurse after Emberson and Ekholm, was Kulak and Stetcher. It doesn't usually kill penalties. Yeah. And then, of course, Nurse came out of the box. There was actually 3 D-men on the ice when the goal was scored. Nurse never even got into the play. So the way we rank it, it was actually a power play goal. And it was like a pairing that rarely plays together. Stetcher and Kulak don't play much at even strength either.
Yeah.
And whether there was a little bit of miscommunication in there, like, I don't know. But neither guy took the front of the net and cleaned up that rebound. And Pierre-Luc Dubois sure did.
Sure did. Bruce, what's your number?
Yeah, numbers. This is such a wild game. I mean, Edmonton, by many measures, deserved to win this game. They had, basically they had 2/3 of everything. They had 72 shot attempts to 37. This is all situation, 66%. Basically 2-1. 32 or 34 shots to 14. Natural Stat Trick and NHL.com don't quite agree, but either way, 70% the shots by Edmonton. They had 37-20 in scoring chances and 18-10 in high danger chances. So again, almost 2-1. And unexpected goals, 5.24 for Edmonton. 5.24, and they scored 2.
Wow.
And for Washington, 2.29, and they scored 3.
Yeah.
And so Edmonton again had like 70% of the expected goals and lost in regulation. And their goalie had some saves, and Edmonton shooters weren't particularly sharp. And Washington had at least 2 super high danger chances that they put in. Great execution on the first goal by Wilson from protests on that 2-on-1 when Arvidsson's drop pass caught his own skate, and it was a jailbreak the other way. And then, of course, the one at the end when Eller sliced up the middle and Dubois sliced right in behind him. And only that one kind of freaky one, which that was such a weird goal. Anyway, and Edmonton, they hit Logan Thompson, did not know where the puck was about 5 times, where the puck hit him, and he sort of, where the hell is it? It's over there, and nobody can quite reach it, or somehow it's stuck in his pad, or disappeared, or up his rear end, or whatever. It just he didn't know where it was, but it wasn't in a place where someone could just tap it in. Sometimes you see these plays where the goalie's looking around, and somebody just has an easy goal, and that play just never happened. And so Edmonton literally, and we had it 16-8.
Yeah.
In grade A. So
4
again,
goals to 2.
2-1, a 2-1 ratio with expected goals roughly 4-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the numbers say Edmonton was the better team. Scoreboard says they lost in regulation. So take out of it what you will, but I think the numbers are interesting. particularly so on a night where they're playing the first place team in the league without their captain and one of their two star players.
Yeah.
You know, the Oilers maybe deserved better in this game. There was things I didn't like about their game, but there's things, you know, on the overall flow of play, they probably deserved at least a point.
Yeah. Bruce, my numbers are 3-3. 3 games for Tyler Myers, 3 games for Connor McDavid, which is ridiculous. Connor McDavid's penalty, he hit the guy in the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a different thing than actually hitting the guy, cross-checking a guy in the face. And there's another difference is that Connor McDavid was seriously aggravated. You know, a
By the
mitigating
guy he went
circumstance
after.
is Garland was when it was tackling him, putting him headlocks, leg locks, every lock you can think of, every hold in Stampede Wrestling, rammed his head off the turnbuckle,
Step
gave him
over
the pile
toe
driver.
hold.
Yeah, gave him the claw, the sleeper hold. Foreign object, all of those
Nelson,
things within those
Nelson.
12 seconds. And another pile driver and another uppercut. And McDavid took all that, and then he finally retaliated, and he cross-checked him in the helmet.
Oh, he got
If
him.
you play hockey and you get smashed in the helmet, it doesn't hurt usually. Now, he should have been suspended 2 games. Like I understand that, just like Austin Matthews was, for I think actually a more vicious cross-check to the face that actually hit the guy in the face. This Bruce, 2 games. Myers, it was just like,
It was gross what he did.
it was gross. Bouchard just wandering up to him, all Bouchardy, kind of slow-mo, going slow, and he cross-checks him right in the face, unprovoked. And you know what? I think did they mention it in the player safety thing that Myers claimed that he didn't intend to do it? Which is just ridiculous, whatever he claimed. I mean, he did it.
Huh.
And you are responsible for where your stick goes, and he hit him right in the face. That is not equivalent to what McDavid did. But, Bruce, the reason I'm bringing it up is not, although I have ranted about that, I'm encouraged by the number of players and former players that are speaking out on this. Corey Perry did. Ray Ferraro did, PK Subban did, Ryan Whitney did, all saying the same thing.
Sidney
That you
Crosby.
can't have your superstar players mugged. And Bruce, here's my real point. It's time for Gary Bettman. It's time for the NHL owners to fire Gary Bettman. If he won't resign, if he's not going to retire after this year, he should be fired. This problem of NHL superstars being mauled has plagued his entire time. I think it's 3 decades, wherever long he's run the league. Started with Mario Lemieux in the league, where it was a garbage or garage league or garbage league.
With or without the B.
Yeah. Yeah. Lemieux called it. It's continued on. It's been repeated. Where Bettman is, you know, people blame the Peterborough Mafia of Colin Campbell and others. In the end, Gary Bettman's the commissioner. Buck stops with Gary Bettman. He should be fired. It's time for him to go. He has done the game good service. He did Edmonton good service by helping keep the Oilers in Edmonton. That said, Bruce, this just it's enough of this. Get it together, NHL. And it's not going to happen under Gary Bettman. They need new leadership who have a better idea about how to sell the game of hockey. And it's not by having checking hockey players maul for 12 seconds in the final minute of a game the star player of the league. It shouldn't be on, and it shouldn't be on for any top player on any team. And all these top players are asking is call the rule book. They're not asking for protection or special treatment. They are asking for a simple thing: call the rule book. And the referees will not do that. They will not do it until they are instructed by the commissioner that they will not get plum assignments in the playoffs. They might not even get hired back until they start to call the rule book. And that's what the commissioner has to do, or the president, or whoever Bettman is these days. And because Bettman doesn't do that, he's got to go. That's my point.
Yeah, well, it's extremely frustrating. I mean, we did see the situation the other night where McDavid was basically mauled for 15 seconds of the last 20 of a game where they needed to score. And there was all, he had his arm pinned, Garland did. And Garland made a smart play because, once he got McDavid down, he had to hang on for dear life because if he let him up, whether it was a penalty called or not, if he let him up, he might score. So he just held him down and tackled him again and thought of, and, I hate what Garland did, but I respect, he's a gamer doing gamer things.
He's playing the game the way it's designed right now.
I don't have much respect, especially for the back referee who was watching all of that going down and didn't bother to call any of it. And McDavid just got to the point, and this is, the star player carrying the banner of the league for years. And he finally snapped. And he gave the guy a shot, and then they basically threw the book at him. Like 3 games is, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and people are Vancouver saying, well, it should be equal. Myers and McDavid equal. Well, you want equal? How about where they pay the same amount of fines for the 2 things they did? Because McDavid's fine was triple that of Myers. And McDavid at least went after a guy who'd been doing stuff to him, and he crossed the line. He deserved to be suspended. I've never said otherwise. I think 3 games is harsh, and equaling it with Myers, where Bouchard came up to him during the scrum, stick on the ice, hands by his sides. He put up his one hand to take his mouth guard out to talk to him, and Myers went boom right in the teeth. Like, you want to talk about taking advantage of a vulnerable player? Takes his mouth guard out and he gets cross-checked in the teeth. How in the hell is that equivalent to hitting the guy in the side of the helmet? Anyway, I lost a huge amount of respect for Tyler Myers. You think after 1,000 games and being 6'8" tall, he'd know how high the heads are of other players in the league. They're down there because you're friggin' 6'8", buddy. You want to cross-check him, drop your stick down a little to your belly button instead of up to your shoulders.
Bruce,
Anyway.
What is his nickname again? Is it the Insane
the
Ostrich?
Chaos. That's pretty good too. But I like the Chaos Giraffe is his nickname, and he is. Chaos.
He lived up to it.
He's coughed up 2 overtime game losing goals against where he joined the rush and didn't know what to do, and he turned around and he's fired a pass backwards towards his own end and led to a breakaway goal against twice this year. Like, I was amazed he was ever on the ice in overtime a second time after that. Anyway, enough about Tyler Myers, but I'm just a little bit surprised that the league showed so little leniency in terms of, and the Oilers issued a statement tonight. It's kind of a namby-pamby statement, but the way I read it was that this is coming from Cates saying, hey, boys, it's our meal ticket you just took away for 3 damn games. And you know what? Who I feel real bad for? I feel real bad for the hockey parents who coughed up several hundred or $1,000 for the Saturday afternoon game against Buffalo. Take their kids to see Connor McDavid play an NHL game on a Saturday afternoon. Well, that's the 3rd game of the suspension, and that's the piling on part. Kind of pisses me off. And I'd be a lot more pissed off if I dropped a few hundo on a ticket or, family tickets for that game. And there's going to be people out there that are going to be in that situation. And it sucks for them. And the NHL, like, somewhere on their list of priorities, fans appears to be about number 7,621. We got to teach this guy a lesson. He's our star player. Let's screw him. So there's talk that McDavid's camp is saying they're going to pull back a little bit about doing stuff for the league. Now, whether that's true or not, who the hell knows? But I wouldn't blame them.
I don't.
Get your act together. Like, he's not going to pull out of 4 nations or anything like that, but we might do a little work to rule on these out-of-town interviews and stuff for a little while. And,
yeah.
If you're going to pile on me when I cross the line, how about calling a goddamn penalty once in a while when I'm getting tackled in the slot?
He must have been. I don't know. I'm just mind reading here, but because I don't know what he's thinking. But I think the thing that probably really bothered him is that slew foot from Edgar Kempe. That was a horribly dangerous play.
Mhm.
More dangerous, at least as dangerous as the cross. It certainly as McDavid's cross check to Garland's helmet, and almost as dangerous as the cross check to Bouchard's face, where McDavid's moving at speed, and Kempe just kicks the feet out. Wraps the arm around, kicks the feet out from under him, and takes him down. McDavid could have been out for significant time on that play, and for Kempe just to get a paltry fine on that's ridiculous. That to me that's the fuse that got lit in that moment, that exploded with McDavid bashing Garland. He shouldn't have bashed Garland. He was wrong to bash Garland. I liked that he bashed Garland in the jungle that the NHL is, that they've created. You've got to stick up for yourself. That's the way they've made this league. So he's taken the law into his own hands. He'll do it again. If the NHL doesn't smarten up, they're going to have to suspend their best player again, because he's going to do this again. I don't think it's going to deter him, and I don't think it should, because until your safety is insured by the league you play in, you got to stand up for yourself and bring it to, make sure that other players don't take liberties like that. Not that Garland took any kind of endangered McDavid injuries. It was Kempe who did that.
Yeah,
it wasn't dangerous in any way.
It wasn't dangerous, but it was, very impactful on the end of the hockey game. Here they're trying to tie it up, and the guy's being pinned out and held out of the play for 14 seconds or whatever it amounted to. I think from 20 to about 6 seconds left. And, you have what many people call, and I think this is a good description of McDavid, the most evolved player the game has ever seen. And you got this guy with a high, Porsche motor that's out there, playing at this very, very high RPM rate. And then it's open season to do whatever to stop him. And at a certain point, he snapped. And I understand the emotion of it. I understand that quite well. He did cross the line. He did deserve to be suspended. But maybe it's the trigger that's going to have the league, because there is a lot, as you say, a lot of players. Sid Crosby came out among many others. Chris Pronger, the former player safety guy, before they switched to another big penalty minute guy, and George Peros. I guess Matt Cook wasn't available for the job. How about putting a skill guy in there? How about having somebody in there who gives a shit about the skill guys, instead of Colin Campbells of the world that spent their whole hockey life trying to stop the skill guys by whatever means possible?
Next up, Rafi Torres, director of NHL player safety. What did Crosby say? I missed that.
He was, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but very sympathetic to Connor and all that. He says, he said something like, you see that time where the guy, takes action in response, but they don't show the 9 times he got hit before that to set him off or whatever. And a lot of the star players, and a lot of people are pointing out the huge drop in penalty calls to some of the league's most talented and evolved players, with McKinnon and McDavid being mentioned. I mean, Jason Gregor's been talking about how last year, 2 years ago, the two of them drew 90 penalties between them, and this year they're on pace for 47. And they're still the two guys in the league that have the puck the most. And usually the guys that have the puck are the ones that draw the penalties. And the more skilled they are with the puck, the more likely they are to, make the other guy miss the puck and trip him out in desperation or what have you. And it's like, penalties are down this year, 2.80 penalties team per game. And it's the lowest ever since they started tracking this in 1963. 2.80 power plays per team per game. Seems like half the games this year, with tonight being yet another example, you go through the entire first period and there's no power plays. Just let them play. And it's 5-on-5. That's what folks want to see, and they sure want to see that. checking forward.
Bruce, when's the next game?
Next game is Thursday against our friends and neighbors, Vancouver Canucks, coming to town. Minus Tyler Myers, that's really going to set them back, I would have to think, on Thursday.
He's an okay player. I don't mind him as a player.
Well, my facetious point is the Oilers were minus Connor McDavid in that same game. I think that's a lot bigger suspension.
I think so.
A bigger deal. Anyway, the Oilers missed. You know where they missed McDavid tonight was on the power play. There was no movement. McDavid is the one that circles and probes and then dangles around the zone and to open up the passing lanes. I thought they were very stationary without him, and it didn't help.
Yeah. Alrighty, Bruce. Let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Said more than enough, I suspect. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.